What's up, everybody? It's your boy here, Cameron, next to Shawn here. Shawn was the next person voted out of Survivor Pandemic Season 4 Canadian Arctic. How's it going, Shawn?
It's good, but I was not voted out, sir.
That's true. You got medically evacuated because Josh thought you died. So one of the twists of the season for people that might not know is we have an HP system to go out and search for idols and search for items to get advantages and stuff like that. And everybody starts out with 100. And Shawn on day one decided to bolt right out of camp and started searching for things, and it kind of led him really, really low. So kind of what was your strategy knowing that you were going to play season 4?
Well, my strategy. So I came in thinking I was going to play a strong game, make friends that are my allies, and then eventually stab them in the front and back and get them the fuck out when they became targets, because that's how you should play.
Yeah.
By winning comps, by doing things that I needed to do, I would secure my safety in places where I would be struggling. When I found out about the whole HP system, I immediately knew that I was going to be out there searching as much as I could and trying not to die, which I ended up doing anyway. But I figured this was probably the only way to find an idol. And if I want to stay in this game, one way to stay in a game of Survivor is a fucking hidden immunity idol. So I went all out trying to find an idol, and it ultimately led to my fucking death in this game, and I froze like a bitch that I am.
So without the HP system, okay, you made a very, very big statement at the first twist of the season, which was every tribe had to go to tribal council. There wasn't a challenge. It was first impressions and first impressions only. Kind of talk through the process on what happened through your perspective. The outcome was kind of completely shocking to me as a host watching that. I did not see the whole Emily blindside happen. So kind of what happened during that from start to finish?
So at the very start of this, I was thinking about the things that have happened over the few day zeros is what I consider them. We had 2 Zoom meetings, and the only person that I hadn't talked to, and nobody really talked to because she wasn't in any Zooms, was Raven. So immediately I called out Raven and said, hey, I think we should vote Raven because, she hasn't been active. She hasn't been talking to anyone, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we ended up getting into a huge fight, which is probably what I'll be known for this season, as well as my blind side that we will talk about in a second. So she came at me and was trying to talk over me and shit. So I was like, okay, bitch, you're gonna talk over. Let's settle this. You're not gonna talk over me. So I said some few choice things that I will not repeat here because they may not have been the nicest. And eventually I made her cry. She left the tribal Zoom, and I guess she told production that I made her cry. She came back. I apologized before we went into the tribal segment. And then I was like, hey, you know what? If you don't want voted out tonight, say someone's name other than mine. And she blurted out Emily immediately. So they went back in for not jury questioning, for, I'm guessing, tribal questions and voting. I'm guessing Josh did questions. Josh is pretty professional. So I was stuck because production obviously wanted to talk to me because I made Raven cry. No, I mean, I understand production's reasoning there. I mean, it's reasonable and it's understanding. So as they're talking to me, I'm kind of sitting here thinking. I was like, I can't message anyone. I can't do anything because I'll get in trouble. And I'm just sitting here thinking while they talk to me. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I make a huge move on day one, first tribal council, and just do something that might shake everyone? So my thought process hit. I was like, you know what? I'll vote Emily and hope that Raven convinced people to vote Emily. Well, I voted, and I did in fact vote Emily. I even looked at Josh and said, I don't think you're expecting what's about to happen. I lifted my card and said, I vote Emily. And from what I remember, Josh looked a little shocked. I mean, I expected him to look shocked. It was not expected. So from that, I was like, you know what? I just made a huge move. And then when I went back and I was waiting for everyone else to vote, I'm like, I'm just hoping that people voted Emily and this will work. Had I have voted Raven, Raven would have been voted out. But due to me voting Emily, it led to Emily being blindsided majorly because nobody expected it to be Emily that night. So I think that was the like highlight of this game so far, unless something's happened why I haven't been there.
True. That was a very big day 2 thing, was the opening twist. And then your guys' tribal was the very last. The first 2 are pretty straight, straight to the point. The second one was, one person didn't show up, so they got, the majority of the votes, and the other one knew they were getting voted out. So that third one really spiced things up. So if you could go back to like day 1, what would be one regret and you could go back and change it?
You might think I'd say fighting with Emily, but that's actually not true. My biggest regret is using all my HP immediately. I'm greedy and I wanted that fucking idol, so I went ham. If I could go back, I know that I'd utilize the HP a lot better and be mindful of me dying because here I am dead.
Right. Yeah, that was from my eyes, it sucked that you got medically evacuated because you brought some interesting dynamics and conflict and perspectives and all this other stuff to the game that they kind of needed at that point. So so going back, is there anybody in the game that you did trust, or is there anybody in the game that you 100% never trusted at all?
I mean, I trusted Rachel. I think on day 1 when I told her that I wanted a final 2 with her, or day 2 or whatever it was, whenever I told her I wanted a final 2 with her, she seemed pretty solid with that. And so I trusted Rachel. Rachel actually voted Raven, so that also kind of confirmed that I could trust Rachel. But I was a little scared that Rachel may lose trust for me, knowing I voted Emily. So I did trust Rachel. After Tribal Council, I had a Zoom meeting with Raven, which you guys will see, obviously. And after that Zoom meeting, I kind of felt like I could trust Raven and I could use Raven as a number if I needed to. And I think if I would have stayed in, me and Raven would have been actually a pretty solid secret final 2. And we could have made moves that people weren't expecting, like even maybe getting Rachel out. I know Rachel's a really good game player, and getting someone like her out would be a really good improvement. Mm-hmm. I think Gabby is someone I could have trusted. JT, I'm not so sure I could trust. And Kevin, he hit me up first, and I just felt like he was hitting everyone up, so I didn't really trust Kevin that much.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any? So you played, I think, 2 challenges, or you're a part of 2 challenges. What was one challenge that you liked, and what was one that you didn't like? You kind of only have 2 options here, so.
Actually, I was not a representative for either of those challenges, so I cannot answer that question.
There you go. That's fair. We're gonna start wrapping it up and stuff here, because that's really all the questions I have. Is there any last minute statements or any last minute things that I didn't ask that you want to go over about the game?
No, not really. All I would say is, Rachel, get that fucking win, girl, and slay this game.
There you go. Well, everybody, thanks for watching this. Thanks for joining me, Shawn, for the exit interview. And thanks for being a part of season 4.